this and move this around and do this and a little bit of this, and we'll see who's on tonight. So we'll give it a minute. If not, I'll just start flapping. I don't even know if I heard from anyone today. Where? It is Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Getting my bearings. Ooh, let's scooch this up. So, all right, let's assume nobody's around tonight. We know it's the weirdness of the holiday craze, so there is that. So anyway, off the bat, there is going to be a podcast tomorrow morning. That's Thursday morning around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The idea would be to go live here on the channel and on Facebook as well. I am not sure. Oh, I should actually make a note to check the animals. Let's see which animals, which adoptables. So I'll reach out to the animal shelter and see what's going on. So I don't know if it's 1 or 2 puppies or an adult dog or 3 cats. No idea yet. But the good news is that we will have my 2 main tech guys here, Matt and Andrew, will be here tomorrow morning, which will be great. So that allows us to powwow and work on more stuff in the studio and get to the next step. I think the very next step for me is doing number 12, doing this on multiple outlets. We wanted to do it through all the studio equipment. I may do it through another easy program that most people use to get us on Facebook and YouTube again and start curling in some of that local audience, and maybe do a couple bridge things a different way, whether I'm popping on for weekly updates about community stuff and combing it in with these little get-togethers and catch-up sessions or whatever. So that's a thought. That should be squared away tomorrow. There's Nydia. Hello, hello. We're also trying to figure out, I guess I'll have a better idea tomorrow what Matt and Andrew's schedule is like. I think Matt had planned on spending like a day or so up here sooner than later to work on the next phase of the studio, which are the sit-down interview style shows. I can't wait to have this conversation with them tomorrow because we could do like a one-on-one or one-on-two interview with the crew down there, but I'm actually thinking that might be better if we had simpler shows like that, but have a bit of a studio audience down there as well when we do it, just for a little bit more juice and live vibe to start things off. And then depending how far we get with everything tomorrow, we can look into some of the bigger shows, whether we can start to get into the game show thing, or that Bridge After Dark, really big kind of thing. I mean, it gets tricky this time of year because I think if we were able to have done that, like I told you about Chelsea Berry, the local musician who was in town last week while I was away. If we were up and going, she definitely would have been here and performed, which would have been really cool. I also heard from Chris Williams, the metal sculptor, whose son is like killing it. If you ever check him out on Instagram. And Chris does really well too, but that would have been a really fun show to kick things off. Also, I've been in conversation with the folks at Vivaldi Browser. So this is, hey Tammy, good to see you, hon. So this is Jan von Teschner. They founded Vivaldi. This is when I go to Reykjavik, where they're based. One of their headquarters is there. They also have one in Oslo, Norway. But I know they want to be interviewed here as well. So, and of course, I have authors and all that. I mean, I have people lined up for it. So tomorrow's a big day. We haven't done anything in a few weeks because of Thanksgiving and then vacations and the holidays. So I'm looking forward to that, even if it's just like an hour or two of getting calibrated again and then seeing what goes on moving forward. My schedule now for the next month or so should be relatively light. Next week is kind of busy for me only because I have 2 timeline events. We're going to... hey, Steve, good to see you, my friend. Hi, Anna Lee, good to see you. We're doing the Flying Santa piece next week at the cable station for, I think it's part of like a holiday party, and open to the public as well for a screening. And then I'm doing a Flying Santa showing next Friday at the big library, the refurbished library in town too, where I just did one of my little talking series a couple of weeks ago, which went really well. So anyway, but that's an easy, fun piece, and it's just me getting caught up with it and wrapping my head around that again. I have a couple different shoots next week, a couple different meetings. I'm actually meeting with folks at Hammond Castle next week because I'm going to end up doing a timeline documentary on the castle. I think we're just going to try to do something very specific to the castle, but that should have great appeal as well, and that footage should be great, and those guys are really easy to work with, and that ought to be a home run, hopefully a pretty easy piece. So that's what I might get into next. My hope was working on this piece on the junior high school and ice rink that was built here too, and the skating club around it, and what made ice rinks and ice sports so popular in the 60s and 70s. So I started scripting that piece, but it is the crazy season for obviously the rink and signups for new classes and all the high school sports, the hockey teams, the club sports, figure skating, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll probably just be getting footage this month and next month, and then hopefully I can lock in with a couple people from the skating club and get some good images and stories. And then I'm also trying to work on the back end on getting images of the school construction, because they actually filled in a marsh area, and it ended up adding $100 million to a local quarry, to actually a local drinking reservoir. They had to build other separate roads just to access the school and bring in all this materials and whatever. It's a pretty interesting story, and I'd like to get into that. But that didn't happen in time. There's old guy. Good to see you, John. Yeah, I'll get in the trip in a second. So anyway, that's it. So I have 3 potential timelines I'm working on. I can start the castle one immediately. There's the murder mystery book, which I'm already kind of into as well. I was hoping to get the skating club one because I had half of that script done, but I can't do it without help from those closer to the situation. So anyway, there is that. If you're just tuning in, hello, hello, hello. There is a podcast tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Should be live here and on Facebook. Not sure which adoptables they're showing up with yet. Meredith will be involved in that too. And I got to get downstairs because it's cold in that studio. It's 56 or 7 degrees down there. It's freezing here in Gloucester tonight. Well, actually, it's warm. It's been freezing for a couple of days. It's in the 40s right now and raining. And then the temperatures are going to drop off a cliff tonight. And then we'll be pretty much locked into winter after that, it seems like. So it's funny. Every now and then in December, we'll have a day or two that touches 70 degrees. And that definitely is not happening this year. So we'll see if we get any wintry weather this year. So anyway, so that's the latest from the studio. So all that's going well. I'll be back in my regular schedule with CC at the Azorian, Patricia at Saltwater Grill, doing those videos too, especially if you watch me on Facebook. That's happening. Now, Pauline Bresnahan, Pauline, usually every holiday season, we go to one of the local restaurants, and she paints ornaments in real time. I have my walk around with my phone and we go live and do those pieces. We've done them with Patricia the last few years. We may do that again this year for fun, for shiggles, as we call it. So I'll talk to Pauline, I'm sure, sooner than later, and figure that out as well. I also want to give just a quick shout out to all of you here at the channel for I covered the funeral for our state representative, Ann Margaret Ferranti, last week. So that was actually my buddy Andrew and Streamography, his company. They helped do that. I helped facilitate that to happen while I was away, and they did a really nice job with it, which was cool. So, and I know that played on the channel. I don't think it did crazy numbers here because Andrew actually created a landing page. We try to make it as easy as possible for folks to find. But I have it up here on the page as well. So, so anyway, so thanks for having the patience through that. It was I guess it was a really nice service, and Andrew did. He always does a great job with stuff like that too. So, that's the latest there. So, okay. So, Dublin, yeah, it was a lot of fun. We took a red eye last Monday. So we landed 8 o'clock or so, let's say Tuesday morning. And so we finally get to the hotel by 9, but we couldn't check in until 4. There were no early check ins because the place was booked. So, um, so we went on no sleep the first day and just went out and kind of hit St. Patrick's Cathedral and, um, castles and jailhouses, and everything's made out of stone in Dublin. Everything. So it's sort of like cool and raw, uh, and a little musty and a little dingy. It's got some grime to it. I mean, it's really nice, and it was dolled up for Christmas too. So tons of lights and good things to do downtown and all that. So that was our first day. It was cool because I'm a Guinness guy and have been forever. Um, and people have always joked with me, especially ones who don't really know me, that people they think I'm Irish because I'm short and redheaded and usually drinking Guinness, and from Boston. Although you guys know that I'm actually Sicilian. So, but anyway, it was cool to be out there. I can tell you right now, if I worked or lived anywhere near Dublin in my 20s or 30s, I would be a dead man because that culture is right up my alley. And essentially, every other door in the greater Dublin area is a pub, and 9 out of 10 of the drinks you see in a pub are Guinness. Everyone has it. Women, children, men, you name it, all hours of the day. Guinness runs that city. So that was awesome. Every little pub had its own aesthetic and culture and really cool vibe. They call it crack out there, CRAIC. Just kind of like the general great conversation, good people, atmosphere. So yeah, that was fantastic. I don't know where Christian is. I heard from him in a bit. I think it's just between school and holiday season, shopping and all that. Steve may know, but yeah, I don't know where Christian's at. Did not talk to him today. So yeah, we did all of the fun, typical stuff for Dublin. The second day, we actually toured the Guinness Storehouse, which is kind of like their it's kind of like Disneyland for drunks. It's like their museum, their living museum. And that was really cool too. There's all sorts of fun features. They really pound the hell out of like the four ingredients in Guinness, right? So water, barley, hops, and yeast. It's a very thorough museum. There are floors. I think there are multiple floors, 4 or 5 floors that goes up, maybe even beyond. And each floor is themed out. Like one floor, I know the third floor is all like the history of Guinness advertising. You see different Guinness ads all over the place, like the toucan or Guinness makes you stronger, et cetera, et cetera. Thousands of those things and all the commercials. They have a floor dedicated to that and its history. Then you do guided tours or not. The first floor is all the ingredients that go into Guinness, and then the second floor is like the process on how they make it, and it gets stored in these barrels, and it's very thorough, and it was really cool. And the middle of this museum is shaped like a giant pint glass. Actually, as you go up each floor, which was awesome as well. And I don't know if you know any history about Guinness, but I think it was 1759 developed. The Guinness family, they signed like a 9,000-year lease with the city of Dublin to have that spot. And that touchstone is still there on the floor. And anyway, you make your way up to each floor, and then you end up with the floor just before this observatory up top, you can get a pint of Guinness with your image in the foam. They have a cool machine that does that. If you're on Instagram at all and follow me, I actually showed a couple of those images. So the good doctor and I actually had a picture of us, and they put it in the foam. Let's see if I can find it on my phone for you real quick. I know I can. And show you that. Yeah. So can you see this at all? Let me see if I can do this for you. No, maybe if I hold it back like this. So anyway, that's not crystal clear, but good and detailed. And that's a shot of me and Meredith. Try to see if I can make that show up on camera, but it's bright. Maybe if I did this. Nope, that's not gonna help. Oh, there you, ooh, it was there for a second. Ready? There you go. So anyway, um, that was really cool. And like I said, I'm a big Guinness drinker. We went with another couple. No one there was really a Guinness drinker, so I was drinking for four and did my job like a good Irishman. So that was a lot of fun. So you have that, and you kind of chill out there in this little cafe with your name on the foam or your face on the foam and all that junk. And then you make your way up this observatory, which is just a circular shaped building, almost like Jetson style, where there's just windows that go all the way around. You know, this circular shape, and you can see all of Dublin from up there. And they have a great bar. It's two big rooms actually that are attached and is decked out for Christmas. They take Christmas really seriously out there, so tons of lights and Christmas decorations. I'll post all those pictures for you guys on Instagram and probably Facebook too soon. So that was really awesome. We lucked out with the weather the first few days. It was actually sun in and out. And I would say the temp was in the 40s, maybe 50, but I'd say upper 40s, which was a lot warmer than back here in Gloucester. We had one miserable day of weather on Friday. But if you need to stay indoors for a day, and Dublin's a good place to do it because you can literally just go door to door to door to door and be in a different pub or restaurant or whatever and kind of do it up if you want. And most places are really decked out, like I said, for the holidays. So it was nice. Everyone's super friendly. They love Americans there, which is great. You know, from what we gathered from the locals, you know, they sustain on tourism dollars. Obviously, Guinness is the big game in town. There's finance and banking and all that as well. But it's really tourism dollars. And they were saying, the people that I knew that were sort of our age group, saying that in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, Americans were really the only group that toured Ireland consistently and pumped dollars into it. And that's why they have the buses and trains, et cetera, because of you know, tourism dollars, finance that stuff. And they do not forget Americans for doing that. So that was really cool to hear. Plus, obviously, coming from Boston, a lot of people have extended family and know the Boston area really well. Or Chicago, which has an even bigger population, which was really great too. So that was cool because even walking around Dublin, it was like walking around certain pockets of Boston where it's almost exactly like it. Cobblestones, dingy little bars, great atmosphere inside. The authentic Irish accents. There's a lot of places like that in Boston still. And a lot of people that we talked to either had family or did work or whatever, went to visit back this way. So that was really interesting. Old guy says, yeah, Guinness and cognac were a daily event for me when I wore a younger man's clothes. Yeah, I hear you, bud. So it's like I said, like that, it would have been the death of me out there because that is literally right up my alley to just go from place to place or lock in with a bunch of good people. And it's just pints and stories and all that too. So yeah, it was really neat. I think if, to me, that was just like a quick hit, like 4 days over there. What the whole idea was sort of a prelude to a larger excursion, hopefully sometime down the road. Just want to get a taste of the culture. Say we were in Dublin, obviously do the Guinness thing. The Jameson distillery too is also really cool, really high end. You see this backdrop? This is not unlike what every room in the Jameson distillery was kind of like. They had these awesome Christmas trees made of nothing but empty Jameson bottles. Let me see if I can find one of those, if that'll show up for you here. Yeah, there you go. So that's big, and those are all Jameson bottles there, which was neat. And they have a really cool tour as well. Great history. You know, it's almost one idea where you go into, it's almost like a small circular like war room for lack of a better term. And everyone's standing at this circular counter. It's almost like you're on a game show. You're with a little group. We have a few different types of Jameson out there for tasting. And we had a really great host walking us through Jameson's history. She was really good. And there was like a projector in the middle of the room that shot down on this tabletop. And that showed the history of Jameson. You're watching this tabletop. It was really well done. Good walking tour. Again, really thorough. Not as thorough or long as a Guinness tour was, because Guinness was just a bigger place altogether. But very nice and quaint and well done. So that was really cool. So I'm glad I was in Dublin for that in particular. If you're into like things like Cathedral, St. Patrick's Cathedral, we were there for that too. That was really cool. Nice big building in there. Lots of people going in and out. Great stained glass. It actually even showed like the history of like some like odes to Guinness in there as well. Like it's like Guinness like runs that city. So it is also interesting when you come from a place like Gloucester, which was established, we'll say, not found, like established like in the early 1600s. And then you go there and they have things from the 13th century, 12th century too. That's always a cool to step back in time and see if some of those artifacts still exist. So it was all interesting. It was all very walkable for the most part. We kind of stayed within, I'd say 2.5 miles tops of where we stayed. I think it was near, it's called the Green. Was it St. Patrick's? St. Stephen's Green, which is a big public park, which was really well done. They had Victorian gardens there as well nearby. Yeah, it was all really nice. So, and lots of students there too. There's a Trinity College is there as well, which is beautiful. So, anyway, that was all great. I did want to point out one fun thing too about the Guinness factory is, they're talking about each of the individual ingredients, and the first one is water. So you walk into this room and there's like it's almost set up like a projector screen in the back with really cool imagery. And then like a water feature where water shoots down, like drops down, almost shower style. And it just shows, it's just water spraying, and it's just explaining how pure the water is, and how that contributes to the taste of Guinness, et cetera, et cetera. But then the water feature also showed off and did things like the Guinness harp, or the harp, which is a symbol of Ireland's independence and freedom and all that. So it's just a harp feature in the water. And then filled pint glasses dropped down as well, which was really interesting too. So so that was really neat. So maybe I'll be able to share some of those video clips with you soon. Or obviously, legit videographers have miles of this kind of footage online too, if you're ever interested in checking that stuff out. Nidhi asked, did we rent the car? We didn't this time. It was all walkable. We stayed within a couple miles of the hotel. The trip was kind of designed that way. We knew it was going to be December. We couldn't count on the weather. It was kind of an impromptu trip. The idea was like just tackle and kind of get to know a city in a few days, and then eventually go back, rent the car, take a week or two, and do the drive at our own pace, and do all those little country roads and find the little hamlets there and the villages, and do that part of Ireland. Like that's what everyone talks about. The cliffs obviously, and the greenery and everything. We were just downtown and locked into downtown for the few days to make it easy for everybody. We did the same thing in Amsterdam not long ago too. We strayed one day to go to this massive tulip garden, which everyone talked about, which was like 45 minutes away from where we were staying. And that was worth it, but it was also a different time of year and nicer weather. And like I said, the one thing we worried about, we thought about maybe getting a car or taking a bus trip, but the weather in Dublin was going to be completely different from the cliffs. And again, early December, if it was foggy or whatever, would that really have detracted from the experience? So we'll end up going back someday and make it a bigger trip, and maybe, drive up to Northern Ireland or puddle jump over to Scotland or whatever. One other thing about this trip, I'll tell you too, it's the flight over there was really inexpensive for the first week of December. I guess it's the least expensive time of year to go. And then the following week, like now, the rates jack up because of Christmas. One other thing that's going on too is I believe Monday, um, the taxis went on strike. I haven't checked out the news to see if that actually happened, but that was the threat because they are in a battle with Uber because basically a taxi can say, "Hey, it costs $40 to go to the airport," and then Uber says, "Well, with us it only costs $35." But then you end up getting feed here and there. So whatever the way it works out is the patron gets screwed, the cabs get screwed. So that was going to be some kind of strike. If they did strike, the idea was either have no taxis on the road at all, or if they were on the road, they were only going to drive at like 5 miles per hour. Like they were just going to crawl, which would have been pretty ugly around the morning rush. So hopefully that didn't happen. We'll see if that got resolved. The taxis over there were super clean. Everyone that we went with, it was either Teslas or just nice vehicles, new vehicles. I'm so used to having cabs here, which I'm sure all of you know, just like the lousy brakes and the pump the gas, pump the brake, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, the vehicle's 25 years old and that sham. So who knows how that played out. But anyway, it was a fun time. I would recommend it for certain folks if the weather could be tough for a lot of people. It's walkable, but that's up to you and how walkable you want it to be. Or if you'd rather do the bus tour or drive and explore on your own. Like I said, we didn't do any of the really that green emerald Ireland that people see and love. We didn't experience that. So I would think next time around we'd fly into like Galway, a different city in the northern part of the country, drive around, you know, do the cliffs, do the South Shore to like Dingle, whatever, and then wing it. You know, Marathon, we've done that before in the past. So anyway, it was good. It was fun to get away for a few days. It was a tough week for me to be away because I had to cram so much work into into November, and that's where it's Small Business Saturday and Black Friday and Thanksgiving and all that stuff. But whatever. And now I'm on the other side of that, and things aren't too bad for me. Like I said, next week it gets kind of busy. And then honestly, probably for the next month, I'm in good shape. I have left, right, center in mid-January. But the hope is I can get together with Andrew and Matt and get this next phase locked down for the studio. And I do think by this time next week, I will be doing this on Facebook and YouTube, unless I wait until wink, wink, 2026 and kind of say, hey, here's the new bridge thing. This is what we have going on. And I'll be online a lot more to do this and to do this with locals at the same time. So anyway, the program I'm thinking about using is something called Restream, which is what a lot of creators use. So I may just do that on my own, so I can just stick my laptop or my desktop and bring it down to the studio or move it around and do things on my own that don't require a crew, just good Wi-Fi. When I want to get into more intricate things like multiple camera stuff, lots of graphics, an intro and an outro, whatever it is, that'll require a crew, and those will be those bigger shows we do down the line. Or something that we record for me to edit after, like say like a game show or something like that as well. I'm also trying to find a way quietly to do the game show where it can easily involve people from the outside in and have them involved other than just through the chat. So I'm just letting that kind of marinate and see what I can come up with. So anyway, that's the latest there. It's the bottom of the hour now. So hi, I'm Corey from The Bridge. It's good to see everybody. Just filling folks in on my recent trip to Dublin, plus the latest on the channel here as well. Like I said, podcast tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Back with my two main tech guys, which is really cool. Back to my regular routine on Facebook and Instagram, etc. with my other stuff. I don't know if you've been following me at all on those outlets, but it's been really busy lately. A lot of videos. You've seen some of the localized stuff here on the channel because I'm kind of throwing it in there so some locals can see it. The business owners can more easily see those videos too. And it's an easier link for me to put in the newsletter instead of, say, have that video live on Facebook and bring people from my newsletter to Facebook. Things get kind of wonky sometimes, and not everybody has a Facebook account anymore as well. So that's why YouTube links are just so much more easier to share. So there's that. I'll keep everyone posted in case Pauline and I do some kind of painting thing. We usually do before Christmas every year, just for like a fun couple of hours with drinks somewhere. We've always called it drunk ornament painting because it was just a funny name. But literally, like, we'll have like a cocktail, or we're painting ourselves, or I have the camera and Patricia and Pauline are painting. So what's the deal? Artist number 12 is asking, what's the deal with men's night? Men's night is, if it's not this Thursday, it's next Thursday, I think, downtown Gloucester. And I don't know about specific things going on. When I used to cover it years ago, there were some really savvy business owners downtown who would do things like have a keg and pulled pork sandwiches to lure you in. Way back in the day, 60s, 50s, 40s, whatever, there would be lingerie models in like Woolworths and stuff like that to draw the guys in back in the day too. And amazingly, that worked as well. So I don't know about specific stuff because things get kind of crazy. Last weekend was like super crazy in Gloucester. There were 9 million events happening, all kinds of school fairs, sipping shops inside restaurants, all kinds of fundraisers, and winter clothes drives and food drives, all the high school stuff. Like, there's 9 million things happening, music and events. So it's a ton. There's more of that this week, and then you kick into Hanukkah as well. Not that there's a giant Jewish population here too, but there has been a Jewish population for a long time, and a beautiful temple here too, and a couple synagogues as well. So there's a bunch of services. I'm sharing that information in the newsletter this week. So that'll be great too. And of course, all the holiday parties. I do a lot of videos for local restaurants, obviously, and some of them have function rooms, and it's just packed day and night now with all that holiday fun, which is nice. And I used to do these things like sipping shops and have vendors in bars and restaurants here. It was just like, it's a lot of work. It was too much for me to do on my own on top of all the video stuff and all that. I mean, I do miss a lot of it because they were fun nights, but I don't miss organizing things like that. It gets tricky. And then the other weird thing too, I don't like competing with 800, like, I don't want to have my own bridge holiday sip and shop event that competes with the elementary school doing their thing and a bunch of local artisans or whatever doing their thing at a shop. Now they all compete with each other, and that's but the beauty about this area is people bounce around to these spots and everyone kind of makes well. It is interesting how many organizations there are here and try to put things like this together. I've said this too, summer or winter. I actually think there's like too much going on. It's like you get oversaturated. I think it hurts some organizations and events because some want to have 2 or 3 things a month, which is a lot to ask of folks. But they're doing it. They do well. This is that time of year. It's just going to happen. And also what happens too is as soon as Christmas hits and New Year's hits, that January, February, March, April, dead zone. Not that it's a ghost town. Most of the locals stay here. But it's just not that buzz. People kind of batten down the hatches for the winter. It's why my left, right, center tournaments, things like that, those social nights do really well. I don't mean to make it sound like it's almost like hurricane season. Everyone nails their shutters down and hides 3 miles below the Earth's surface. It's not like that, but the tourists aren't here. It's dark early. It's that deal. It's just, it ain't summer. It ain't St. Peter's Fiesta, put it that way. But I love this time of year. This has always been probably my favorite time of year. I love Christmas time even more than Christmas Day. I like this time of year. I love the lights. Everyone's in a good mood. There's no BS out there. There's a lot of partying going on. So it's really cool. And like I said, just lucky to be a part of a community like this too. It's always been awesome. So we'll see what this weekend brings. There's tons of more events. I got to get the newsletter out tonight for first thing tomorrow morning. And honestly, I think last week's there must have been 40 or so different events going on. It's kind of like that again too. They do other things locally as well. Santa Claus arrives by boat in all the communities here. What's funny is I think he actually, wink, wink, arrives by boat at the same time in 3 of the 4 communities. That happened last week. Christmas tree lightings, Santa parades, that's already happened. So anyway, fun stuff there as well. But I'm in pretty decent shape now for a while. Like I said, tomorrow morning's meeting is good. It's like I want to get more stuff going downstairs sooner than later. I know it gets tricky with Christmas. Like Andrew, for example, has like a lot of little ones and a really young family. So it must be insanity. Plus, his business is doing really well, so he gets pulled in a lot of directions. But it'll be great to see him in the morning. And then my buddy Matt, who lives and works near Boston, to have him come up is always awesome. And he's all in for making this studio and this channel work, especially in 2026, which is really exciting too. So he'll be here throughout the morning and lunchtime tomorrow. We'll see what we can come up with for those next steps because I'm ready to roll, baby. So there is that. What else is going on? I told you I'm meeting with Hammond Castle next week, so I'll be working on that story. Maybe I'll share some cool photos there. I was there for a couple of videos last month because that's all decked out for the holidays too. I can tell you this, moving forward, I've got a really strong relationship with Hammond Castle. So I think those folks are going to be coming to the house at some point. Matt and I will find a way to do remote shows from there, I think, sometime down the line because you can't go wrong with that place. It looks really nice. So there's that. And we'll see which one of my documentaries I actually bang out first. It might be the Castle one because I think they're the most prepared with an idea and a vision and a chronology and the content and imagery to be like, hey, Corey, here you go. And then I can kind of take that, marinate, spit it out, reshape it. They give me the ingredients and I bake some kind of pie with it. So January should be pretty fun. We should have a new timeline or two out then. So anyway, that's kind of the latest from my end. You can let me know what's going on in your neck of the woods. But like I said, I don't know which blue wrenches are on for tomorrow, but we are doing a podcast. I would say we aim for 11 a.m. live, unless we need to buy time. I don't think we need to buy time tomorrow, but you never know what's going on. So 11-ish. It depends on when Jane and the Adoptables show up. So there is a lot of people would love to see the castle. Nydia, I used to do a lot of stuff in the castle for the cable station, and I don't know if you saw. I might have a video here for their Gloucester Gratis Days. The castle's free for residents every Tuesday through the holidays. So I did a video there, but I didn't appear in the video because it had to be. We were on a really short time frame. I had to bang that thing out, and I had to actually make it a minute on the button for local cinemas to play it as well. So I had to actually edit that one extensively, and it was just easier to do clips and images and do a voiceover instead of me there talking. I think they would have preferred me as a face talking about stuff and doing that influencer recommendation kind of thing, but we just couldn't do it. They needed it out fast, and I was going to be away. So, but we did a bunch of stuff. I did a bunch of the Cape Ann Today was sort of like the morning coffee show I used to do for 1623 Studios. And we would go to the castle twice a year for shows. One was just around Christmas time. Oh no, one would be like Halloween time, and then one early spring when they would open. We did that all in different places. They have this one room just called the Great Hall, which is big with a giant fireplace, and it's pretty impressive. High ceilings. Their organ is in there. I don't know how many thousands of pipes are in that organ, but it's a really cool venue. If you ever see anything online, they're really prolific on social media. I think they have a YouTube channel as well, but you can always check that stuff out. They do great history bits. And of all the places that I work with here, they have the strongest online output, I would say. No one really holds a candle to them. There are other places here that do really well. Like obviously the Animal Aid does really well. But as far as generating their own content and telling stories and all that, they're a grand slam over there too. All their staff really cares, is really into the job, and just does A+ content all the time. So really looking forward on growing with them moving forward too. Plus the cool thing is I grew up right down the street from the place, luckily enough. So I know it pretty intimately. And the last time I was there shooting a commercial was just kind of on my own, floating around to all these different nooks and crannies of the castle. And every time you go, it's a different experience. So if you're ever in the area, let me know. And if you haven't gone, and if you're in Cape Ann, that's the place to go to for sure. Unless you're like a beach and boat person. But even then, the castle's right on the water down there too. So it's a beautiful view. So yeah, Hammond Castle, A plus all around. Okay, I think that's about it for me for now. I suppose. Um, I'm trying to think of anything else that could be pumping up down the line. I guess I keep saying this too, but when I know we're going to be testing shows, that's when I'm going to ask you guys to come in. But if it's something like if I'm on Restream and I'm on, say, Facebook and YouTube at the same time, you'll notice the difference because you'll notice I'll be talking to a lot of people I know locally. But just it's more like how the transmission is. I'm not really sweating it. I actually sweat it much more with the studio equipment and the microphones down there. This stuff is really easy to do. I mean, I have a tabletop mic. I don't even know if I need that, to be honest with you. I like the sound of it better than without. And then I have plenty, obviously, of lights and stuff down here too to make things look better. But I need an artiste eye, and I need real camera people, directors of photography, or what they're called, to set up the studio and some shots down there so I can make a turnkey. And so when we do a show like this, maybe that's like a real background behind me, and we do a show and everything's well lit. You'll notice a big difference because even like you can see now, the shadow around my neck because I have an overhead light. Like that would never happen in the studio. There'd be a softer studio light shooting this way. This is just me in the office upstairs messing around for an hour or so. Okay, so anyway, tomorrow is a podcast with Cape Ann Animal Aid. I will know more in the next step of the studio for sure. I'll be talking to Pauline about doing drunk ornament painting. Normally when we do that live on Facebook. And I still know most of you aren't Facebookers. But what I might be able to do is download it from Facebook and upload it here to YouTube. Or we go live on YouTube and do it. And then maybe I download that and send that to Facebook. But Facebook just sucks for most of this stuff. It's just where the audience is for everybody. Other than that, that's about it. Yeah, so tomorrow I would definitely be on next Wednesday to do this unless we do something beforehand. I would say I probably won't be able to test much next week only because I have shoots and events Monday and Tuesday in the evening as well, and next Thursday and Friday for sure. And then after that, of course, it's Christmas Eve. We've been on for that before. We'll see if it works out this time around. Maybe I do something earlier on Christmas Eve or maybe the 23rd. And then Meredith and I will be in Ohio for a few days after Christmas and actually back here for New Year's Eve. So maybe we find a way. It's just the way the calendar crumbles, huh? We want to do all these Thursday shows with Animal Aid, and it's just the way that Thanksgiving right through Christmas lined up this year. And now we have all the Eves lined up on Wednesdays when I'm usually online, but that doesn't mean we can't move the day here to Tuesday or something so we can stay on the same page with stuff. So, all right. That's it. Annalie and Nydia, thanks for the wrenches once again. I don't know if we saw Thankful or not, but usually she's around somewhere in there too. Artist number 12 and Tammy and Old Guy and whoever else was around. Always good seeing you. We understand it's a busy time of year and people probably traveling or doing the shopping or family thing. So anytime you spare with us is greatly appreciated. So yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. We'll have some fun. We'll try to get an adoptable a new home, and then we'll take it from there. Hopefully we have a nice new progress report to share with you guys from the studio space as well. So, all right, have fun, be safe, follow la la la, and we'll see you next time on the bridge. Until then, adios for now.